Good morning, my name's Matt and welcome aboard to today's live build session. So howdy, I'm Matt, welcome aboard for this live session. In today's session I have a carrier bag, I kid you not, a carrier bag with a model in it. And I've got to be brutally honest with you, I've had a sneaky look in it and I thought it was going to be absolute junk. It's not absolute junk. I'm actually quite surprised and I'm really looking forward to building this one now. So we will be taking a look at that one in just a few moments time. Now those of you which it's your first time here aboard, welcome aboard. This is a live build session. The purpose of today's and every Saturday morning is for us to chill, have a chit chat, have a coffee, and you'll notice the live chat going on the right hand side of your screen. By the way, those of you which are using a mobile device of some form, maybe an iPad or a phone, you might need to look out for the live chat button, which is either underneath this video or hiding down in the bottom right hand corner. And you'll be able to join in with the live chat which is going on. And there should be a collection of us on here live this morning. Yes, good morning Vince, Stefan, Chris, David, Davey, Steph, Jack as well, Brad who was on here a few moments ago, and good morning Vince as well, who's probably not on a beach. So yeah, a very good morning to those of you which are joining us here live. Remember, you can chat with the fellow pilots, cool people like me and you in the live chat on the right hand side of your screen. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be taking a look at the carrier bag find. Now, I just want to stress, it didn't turn up in a carrier bag. What happened is that the wife wanted something to send. That model turned up. She lined up the box and went, that box is perfect. Can I nick it? She said, yeah, as long as you put it in a bag or something. And then it promptly hung up at the back door for, I don't know, a month, something like that. So it's been hanging there for a month. And while I've got other models which I probably should be working on, this one just, I was like, how random could this be? We'll take one from a carrier bag, which is on the side, and we'll try and get this one built up here this morning. So just to set the expectations, these build sessions, or build Saturdays, we aim for about an hour. Okay, so chill out, make yourself a cup of coffee, put the headphones on. And I know there's a massive time zone difference for those of you which are, say, in the States or down in New Zealand, for example. Then stick the headphones on, enjoy. If you nod off, that's absolutely fine. If you're wide awake, well then, happy days, get involved with the chat. And let's see what we're going on from here. Good morning, Max, as well, and Rich too. Hi, Cliff, good morning. A couple of new faces in here this morning, and a couple of regulars like Austin. I've just been in the scene. Good morning, Paddy, Nigel, as well. Yeah, Vince. Sorry, no beach today. I had beach just yesterday. Went to the beach. That's fantastic. Anyway, I can quite easily go off topic now. Talking about going off topic, there are a few topics which I just want to raise with you. Is so that we get these out of the way so we can take a look at this model. Number one is the Vortini. 2 weeks ago, we did go off and maiden it. It didn't exactly go to plan, and I fed some feedback back to Ewan on the Monday or Tuesday. Might have been the Wednesday by the time we got the full of it, the whole lot. And I've left that with Ewan to digest. And he said he was going to take those on board and get those back to us. Now, I'm not going to be mean about the model at all, because it doesn't deserve to be mean about it, because everything which I found could be easily remedied, and I'm sure you'll get those back into the next iteration. So that's one of the things about Prototype. I'm not going to put that video up because I don't think it serves any positive light on anybody, so I'm not going to do that in short. So watch this space with the Vortini. Just a couple of niggles need to be nailed. Number two is the Firefly is unfortunately still sat there. I've had an extremely busy week, not being able to get round to an ERC. That's probably why I'm quite excited about that one, is because I know that I'll be able to get that one done today and at least get it up ready to be flown. So I'm looking forward to that one. The Bixler, wherever it is frankly a bit of a lost cause, to be honest. I don't know if you can see the front of that. I'm not entirely sure it will stay looking like a Bixler. Oh, that sounds bad, doesn't it? I'm not entirely sure it will stay in its current configuration. I've already had other ideas of what I'd like to do with it. Again, the wing servos, the aileron servos are completely knackered, so I've got to take those out and throw them away. So yeah, we might not see the Bixler as we know it very, very shortly. So it just needs some time to get mucking around with that one. But yeah, I did absolutely thrash its nuts off, and it had one real good flying session. In fact, there were some really interesting comments from those of you which have owned Bixlers, which I've never flown my Bixler like that before, Matt. And I was thinking, well, Andy does that every time we go out flying. So yeah, very curious. Good morning, Blackbird, and good morning, RC Flyer as well, or good evening, should I say. We also had the Radjet come out. There was a video which I put up 2 days ago. What can I say? Well, what can I say? Trying not to buy one at the moment because I want to put one of those rockets in the rear to see what it's like. I'm not entirely sure that's the best use for a Radjet, but I'm trying to hold off until at least they get the kit version coming out, because I didn't really want a crappy motor. What was it, an 1870 kV motor and a 20 amp ESC? Really was done down to a budget in the plug-and-play kit, so in the plug-and-play version. So I'm waiting for the kit version to come out. As soon as the kit version comes out, we'll rocket that mofo into space. Moving on, Vector series. Those of you which keep an eye on the community tab, so if you don't know about this, and apologies, we will get to building something in a moment. There's just quite a lot for us to cover because we haven't been here for a week or so. So, if you don't know about the community tab, underneath this video, if you click on Rag the Nuts Off, obviously after we finish this live session, and then along the top there's a tab called Community. Keep an eye on that, because that's where I'm predominantly posting all updates as far as events and things which are going on with the YouTube channel. Now, I know there's a collection of stuff which I've got lined out for this week. I'll give you a hint. It involves that motor on something just as equally inappropriate, should we say. We'll leave it as that. So yeah, we will be aiming for the world's fastest of a Pacific model. So look out for it. And again, I'll put the spoiler on the community tab later today. There you go. After we've gone live, I'll take a photo and it'll give you a massive hint of what we're going to be doing very, very shortly. Also, there was an update yesterday about the Eagle Tree Vector. I know last Saturday we did a live build session. I did my best to try and cover everything within an hour on how to set up an Eagle Tree Vector. That was actually really useful for me, and it's going to be really useful for you, because I've been able to sit down and work out a proper series. It's only a 5-part series because there isn't any like advanced stuff ready to do with the Vector, and the setup process is an awful lot simpler. Unlike iNav, where we had to break it out into many steps, and it was not a pretty process. With the Vector, because it's basically plug and play, the actual process to create a little course for you, a little series for you to go through, is a lot shorter and it's a lot cleaner. So I've already recorded episode 1. Jack, I did pick up your comment from yesterday's community post. I'm actually going to use that, so I really do appreciate that, Jack. Is Rich Man's Toys was his comment. I'm actually going to take that. We'll address that in the video specifically, because I feel that's a valid piece of feedback, and we'll incorporate that as well, because price is a factor. So I will go back and re-edit that bit and incorporate that into the first part of the series, because it is an important factor when it comes to the Vector compared to other tools. And I'm not saying it's the best tool in the world, I'm just saying it's a good tool. And the last one is some merchandise. Now, I don't know what really to say on this one, other than you're going to have to watch this space. About a month ago, I made contact with somebody to sort out some t-shirts and some other things as well. We've got some stickers which have come through, which you've got to admit they are pretty cool. However, the rest of it really just didn't materialise, and a month later, it's like I just don't know what was going on, to be perfectly honest. So it's all been a bit of a letdown. On the positive side, I have actually a local company just 2 minutes away from me, which I can go and visit. I'm going to get some merchandise done up, some Rag the Nuts Off t-shirts. I was kind of really hoping that we would have had them 2 weeks ago for the Funny Farm, for different live sessions, but it's just not materialised. So yeah, watch this space. We will have some Rag the Nuts Off kit coming out very, very shortly. It's one of the, it's the fourth thing for me to do this week, put it that way. So I will get round to it this week and watch this space on that, because it's something which I've been meaning to do for ages. And anyway, that's the update. Fortini, work in progress from somebody else. Firefly, just generally not have a chance to touch it. Bixler, kind of knackered. I know what I'm going to do with it. Those of you which have seen some of the recent videos may also know what we're going to do with it. Radjet, waiting for the kit. Plug and play version doesn't attract me. It's too expensive for not great components. So we're going to wait for the kit version to come out, and then we'll fly it around normally, and then we'll stick a rocket up its ass and send it into orbit. I think that's the best plan for that one. There's a Vector series coming out, and merchandise we've spoken about. Oh, I can see there's quite a lot of chat which has gone on the right hand side. So apologies if I've missed anybody's questions on there. Oh, fuck yeah, Jack. No apologies for that language. Jack says, I know it's off topic, but I have some great news. As of yesterday, I am cancer free. Well done. Absolutely well done. I cannot even imagine what that feels. Well, I could only imagine what that feels like. So, Jack, very good news. Happy and days. Get out there and fly some models. Go and enjoy it. So, yes, happy days. Max, happy days. Max, what has happened to those mini chuck gliders? They're still down there in a sack. I do have a massive backlog of ideas I think to do. Give you an idea, that's how many chuck gliders I've got here at the moment. Just a few. There's 17 in total which I've got here. And we will be seeing some interesting designs with those. I'd like to do a whole different collection of designs so we can work out which ones are the good ones, which ones are the bad ones, and then give you some options when it comes to the chuck gliders. So yeah, don't panic. I've got 17 of them here scattered around, and Luna hasn't been in tune any of them just yet. So anyway, getting back to your chat as well. Let's have a quick look. What happened to the mini chuck glider? Oh, Harley says I've got one and intending converting it. They are diddy little ones as well. Let's have a quick look on your chat. Steph says, have you considered chucking up a Patreon page? Yes, I have. Not in any great rush to do that. Probably should get around to do it on there. Yes, happy days. Right, Jack, completely understand that as well. Anyway, live chat. By the way, if you're watching the recorded version and you're wondering where the heck is this live chat, underneath this video, click on live chat and you'll see the live chat which was going on in the live stream. Right, pause for a moment. Quick sip of the Black Gold. And I don't know how many minutes we're in. Right, derailed for 15 minutes. That's fine. Right. Time for us to get back to job at hand. So those of you which have just been enjoying us a little bit later, I'm Matt. Welcome aboard. In today's live build session, we have a model of unknown name. It's literally in a carrier bag. I kid you not. And that's what we're going to be building. Now, like I said right at the beginning, I've had a sneaky look and I'm kind of impressed. It does have potential. So with that said, we're going to swap across to the main camera and then we're going to go and have a go at getting this thing built. Now, I need to press the button over here and then we'll switch and then we'll get ourselves onto there and then we'll be able to take a closer look. Right. So, again, just those of you who have been around for a few minutes, you already know the story. In short, this model turned up a short while ago. The wife spied it, wanted the box to send some off for something she'd sold on eBay, and then I said, well, that's fine, as long as you put the parts in a bag. And of course, it never actually made out here to the office. It just stayed hung up in the corner. So that's the premise behind it. And then this morning, I've gone and grabbed it, and I'm actually kind of curious, to be honest. There's the wingspan. I don't know. Yeah, let's have a look. I'd say it's about an 80 centimetre wingspan for that. On there, we've got a collection of bits and bobs in the bag. And I will be honest, I have had a sneaky look here this morning and got servos ready and stuff. It's called a Mini 800. That's why we've got an 800mm wingspan. Right, what are we missing in this bag? Nothing else in the bag. Right, let's spread this around. We have a dead spider. Got that on. Oh, we're going to get really far with these instructions. Does anybody understand Chinese? We are going to get absolutely nowhere at all with those instructions. Like we read them anyway. Right, let's move these bits around. Right, what have we got on here? Right, it's a Mini 800. I don't know how much I paid for this model. I don't know. All I know, I bought it a month or more ago. And I don't know if it's going to be any good or not. But looking at it, so there's the stickers. I'm not really into stickers, to be honest, so we'll file those out of the way. We got a bag of goodies. We do have a motor mount, which I've already fished out as well. We have some grossly deformed, and I really do mean deformed. Don't know if you can see the state of that control horn in there. That obviously went through quality control of the blind person. That was down the blind aisle. Because there are no holes left in that one. I've never seen a control horn that bad before. I might save that for Andy. Let's hope Andy's not watching this one. We've got the wingspan and we've got a fuselage. Now, like I said, I have had a sneaky little look in here, and I was actually genuinely impressed by what it was. It looks like EP. You can't tell. I reckon it's EPP foam, but I might be wrong. If you have a closer look at the cells on there, it looks like it's not as soft or squidgy. Yeah, that's EPP foam. So that has immediately got my attention. The reason being, with EPO, yeah, this is EPP foam. EPO is lighter than EPP foam, but EPP foam, especially when it's molded like this, is way stronger. And it actually looks like a coherent kit, because we had a kit here a while ago. Absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish. This one, decent foam. They've got some mouldings in here as well. I think these surfaces are going to be a bit of an issue. And I tell you what, let's don't worry about the small details. Let's try and build this thing up quickly so you get an idea of what it looks like and what it might look like by the end of it. Right, we'll stick that on there. We got a wing surface to go in there. And there we go. Kind of fell off. It's not the biggest model in the world. And it's definitely not the worst model which we've ever had here. It's kind of cute, to be honest. And I'm wondering, look, we'll have a wooden stake. Well, we should have had a wooden stake, or maybe another stake to go through the back to hold the wings down with an elastic band. That kind of makes sense. The motor mount, I did eye this up a few moments ago. The maximum prop we are going to be able to fit on the back is a 6-inch propeller at a push. I'm not entirely sure until we get this thing wired up. But that's the plan. That's what we're going to be working on. So let's plow on and see what happens. One thing which I did notice, which was an interesting consideration, is that's not, I'll put that on the top camera, that's not a typical air hole which they've been put on the front. That is an air hole specifically designed for FPV. Now, while I was looking at this, we open this up and take a look inside, is that while it's nice that they have been and put a downward facing camera, that's not really for me, to be honest. Instead, I've kind of already worked out what I'm going to do with this, which is to mount the camera in, if I put these two halves back together again, is that I'm going to mount the camera in on the top, which I know is not the most aerodynamic, but I'll mount it in on the top and feed the wires back, because then I can get the camera pointing straight forwards. So then I know that if I'm dodging gaps or anything like that, it will work. The fuselage area is not the biggest fuselage area ever. I'll use the calipers for this. Go in like that. Fuselage, approximately. I'll put these two bits together. I don't think you're not going to fit a standard flight controller board in there, although you could probably fit a Vector in it if you were that nuts to do it. I don't know why you would do that, but hey ho. I'll put those in there. Yeah, fuselage is about, in inches, that's always helpful. About 28 millimeters, 3 centimeters approximately in there. You definitely get one of the smaller little INAF, like one of the little F4 boards in there, the 20 by 20s, that would fit in there on the bottom perfectly fine. It would probably take the edge off as well, having a flight controller in there, especially in a smaller model. If it's getting thrown around in the wind, it would be quite a bit of a handful, and it would take the edge off it. However, that's not what I'm particularly interested in here. I'm kind of interested in how we can get this thing together, and what do I need to glue now so that we can get this thing up and ready for tomorrow. So what we got here spar wise, we've got what have we got in here? Where's my knife? We'll have a closer look. Those of you which have just been enjoying us, we are looking at a Mini 800. Genuinely didn't have a bloody clue what was turning up in that bag until we got the stickers out and had a quick nose. It's a tiny little 80cm wing model. It has been here for at least a month in a carrier bag, and I thought it's about time we get it out and get it set up so that we can get out and fly it. Otherwise it's just going to continue to stay in a carrier bag out in the hallway, which is not the best place for it, and it's a bit of a pity because, just face it, to be honest, models should really be flown. So we'll put the hot glue gun on, and because I might cheat in a moment a few places. I don't know exactly if I'm going to need that. What I also do need is some Yoo-Hoo pour glue. Apologies for going off camera. Trying to find some glue, because obviously I got all these bits ready before we went live. No sign of that in there. Check the glue tub. Oh, there we go. Got some Yoo-Hoo pour. Has anybody else got a glue tub like this? What glues we got in here? E6000, which you need to go very well. Actually, with EPP foam, it's fine, and it's a rubberized glue. Fantastic glue. Yoo-Hoo pour. I've got a couple of tubes of that. I'll take those out. Generally speaking, as much as I take the piss out of Yoo-Hoo pour, because Yoo-Hoo pour is a contact adhesive, and it's foam safe, and it's relatively cheap for what it is, and you get a lot in a tube. It does turn yellow when it sees the sun, so it does look like wee-wee on your model if you get if it sees daylight, which is a bit of a shame. I do have a collection of 5-minute and 15-minute epoxies for when I need that kind of strength. I have super glue in there, or Scotch Weld, which is that glue you only ever need if you're using that with Corflute. That is the glue, which those of you which know what Corflute is, that plastic sheet. That glue, the SF100, is absolutely fantastic. Collection of other glues in here as well. Oh, the one which you need to go very careful of, and I would generally suggest don't buy it, is Yoo-Hoo Power. You can pick this up in the pound shop, but be very aware that stuff will melt foam. Yoo-Hoo Power melts foam, however Yoo-Hoo Pour does not, and Yoo-Hoo Pour is foam safe. So anyway, that was a slight deviation into foams, into glues, and they all work really, really well. I've tested them out. They've been battle proven, put it that way. Anyway, let me just flip back so I can have a look at your chat. Vince says, £31 and 3 pence. Is it worth £31 and 3 pence? It depends if you're in the market for a smaller model or not. I think it's the honest answer, Vince. And remember, we always try and hold off any form of judgment on any model until we get it out and flown. Because Vince, I'm sure you know the story now, and I'm sure everybody here knows the story, is that we have had models here before which have been very easy to build. Very easy to build, been very quick, and have looked the parts. However, have been absolute rubbish and terrible to fly. So, yeah, we always hold off final judgment until we get the model out and we get it flying, because then, and only then, can we make a informed decision on what the quality of that model is like. So, let's go. Because I'm not going to stand here and put pressure on that spar and the tail. Instead, so what I'm going to do is just stick a couple of pins in it. Now we do need to free up this rear surface as well. So I get that in there. What I did notice when like I said, I did cheat a bit and have a quick look at the kit when it came here. And one thing which I did notice is that the surfaces they did need quite a bit of movement around to really free them up and break them up a little bit. One thing which I'm actually going to do, and it's only in this circumstance because it's so tough, I'm going to run the back of a blade down the inside of the surface on both sides just to free it up, because it's not moving as well as what one would have hoped. And I am putting quite a bit of pressure on that, and that's definitely EPP foam. You wouldn't be, if I was putting this much pressure on EPO foam, I would have broken it now. So yeah, that's an awful lot freer than what we had in there before. Brilliant, we'll put that to one side as well. We'll also do the main wing spar, which will be fun because we've also got to run cables down there. Well, I'll tell you what, let's just get this spar in. Is that glue gun not working? Brilliant. Right, Yoo-hoo port is for that. I think what I'm going to do is get this spar glued. Yeah, I think that's the plan. We'll get that spar in and push down. Also make sure that's clear as possible through there as well. Again, a little tip for you is run the spar through the slot which it's supposed to go into, and then that way you know yeah, it will fit when you go to stick it in there. Right, getting back to your chat as well. Jack, the thing is that what you've got there is the approach with, I'm not going to say the C word, we're going to call them landings or unscheduled landings. Because the thing with landings is that it happens to all of us. It doesn't matter if we've been flying for years. It is just a fact of life when it comes to flying RC models, that you will stuff it sooner or later. In fact, I would personally argue that if you're not stuffing it often enough, then you're not pushing your abilities to the max. If you're just flying around and doing the same stuff every single time, then yeah, it's not really pushing your abilities as a pilot. And the thing which goes in hand with that kind of approach is that you do need a really good sense of humour when you do stuff it in the ground. That's why the Ragnar Nuts on Facebook group, where its primary aim in the beginning was simply just for everybody to post their landing pictures on there. And you should have seen, it's quieting down a bit now over the last couple of months, but there was a time when every Saturday and Sunday it was absolute carnage. And I mean it, absolute carnage. I think I've got every ounce of glue out of that one. It was absolute carnage in there on a weekend. The amount of smashes and landings, absolutely unreal. Really unreal. So in fact, if you go out this weekend and inadvertently land, please do take a photo of what you've been and done and share it with us in the Ragnar Nuts Off Facebook group. And the reason why we do that is because in previous days when we were dealing, well, the hobby was dealing with RC models made of balsa wood, they would literally take one smack and they'd just be into splinters, and that would be the end of it. And that would be extremely frustrating, wouldn't it? You go out, you stuff your model in, and that's it. You've got to put it in a bin bag, and that's the end of it, isn't it? And that would not be a good experience with the hobby at all. And the thing is, now we got models. How much that Vince said this model, this kit here, was 31 quid. 31 quid for moulded EPP foam. It's just a complete joke as far as price goes. It's beyond every boy's wild dream. I wish this hobby was so inexpensive. When I was little, that would have just been unreal. The barrier to entry for this hobby is now so low, and the products are so good. It is really good times. Really good times. We are, as RC, I've said this so many times, as RC pilots, we are so spoilt for choice. There are so many good models out there. Yeah, it is good times. Genuinely good times out there. So getting back to my point, which was Jack's comment on there, is that you're flying like whatever Jack said in the chat, is that you've got to have the right attitude. And that attitude is, and that's where the saying landed came from, is because if you're at a proper flying club, you know what we're on about, sandal slapper territory, is that you're supposed to announce when you're landing, and you bring your model in to land so all the other pilots on the flight line know that you're going to be landing your model, so everybody's aware, that etc, etc. However, the reality is, when you're learning to fly, if you land in the same postcode, it's a win. And after, so if you've already stuffed the model in the ground, it's too late. So you just announce landed because it's down on the ground. So my point being is that it's all about the right attitude. The right attitude is to, if you stuff it, well, shit happens. Laugh. You know, it's made of foam. It's not going to be that bad. It genuinely is not going to be that bad at all. And this hot glue gun really does not want to get hot. I'm going to have to buy another one. Now, some of you may be thinking, Matt, it probably doesn't work because you've been blowtorching it. And I would 100% agree with you. I probably have knackered it by blowtorching it. I'm just kind of hoping that I can give it a little nudge along. But for $2.99, that's what it cost me. $2.99 is absolutely fantastic. So I don't know if it's a connection issue which I've got. I know the battery is fully charged, so hey ho. Anyway, getting back to your chat as well. Let's have a look. Sparkle says, I have a Sky Hunter Racing 787 waiting on parts to finish building. Sky Hunters, the micro Sky Hunters are absolutely fantastic. Hardy says, hot glue is pretty much good for everything, especially quick repairs. Totally agree with you. So a quick look, 20-meter mast that mounted on the head jack, lovely. Absolutely brilliant. Sparkles, yes, not all of us use Facebook. I do appreciate that. And again, do remember the vast majority of the content which I'm creating at the moment is all focused on YouTube. And not only here as live content like today's live stream, but also into the community tab as well. Shameless plug, those of you who have been here for today's live session, you've already heard me mention it once. After this live session, if you click on the Rack the Nuts underneath this video, on the YouTube channel, if you click on community, is that you'll see the latest updates which are going on. There are some spoiler alerts which I'll be posting later today. Not only for, well, you'll see yesterday's one, which was a spoiler alert on the new series, and also for a new project which I've got here. It's going to be mental, and I'll be posting that later on the community tab. And if you do want to get notifications when those things are posted, don't forget, underneath this video, if you press the bell icon and then choose all, which I believe is the lower option, YouTube will notify you when there's an update on the community tab. And again, it's my personal goal now, between now and Christmas, not only to get 3 videos a week out, but also to do daily updates, at least one daily update out on the community tab to keep you updated with things which are going on. Right, pause for a moment, cup of coffee. And those of you which have just been and joined us, well, I'm Matt, welcome aboard. We're supposed to be building a model here at the workbench. But number 2, live chat on the right-hand side of your screen. Okay, I can't stress this enough. It's like a coffee morning, isn't it? With all the cool people from around the world who enjoy RC and want to come here for a bit of a chit-chat. If you want to get involved, live chat, right-hand side of the screen. Get in there, say hello, don't be afraid. You're amongst friends here, in short. And if you can't see the live chat, it's either hiding as a button underneath this video, which you'll click on live chat. And of course, if you're watching the recorded version, you'll be able to see the chats going on by hitting live chat. Or if you're on a mobile device, it's hiding down in that bottom right-hand corner. And just type in there, say good morning, whatever you like, or good evening, whatever time of day it is there with you. So again, focusing upon your chat as well. Jack says, yes, you do need to be laughing at yourself. You've got to really laugh at yourself half the time. And you would have noticed, those of you which saw the Radjet video 2 days ago, you will see I'm perfectly capable at laughing at myself every single time. What's an X29, a 70mm EDF 6S? Whoa, Caroline, that is nuts. Wow. Sparkle said you can get a hot glue gun from Poundland. We got a Poundland up the road. I'm going to go up there today and see if I can find a hot glue gun for £1 or £2 as the case may be. And is it? It's got hot. Right, the hot glue gun is now working. Can't complain. Remember, I only paid $2.99 for that one. Styrola, good morning. Just seeing you there in the chat. My favourite plane is the Astro Challenger, a balsa model I bought in the late 80s. Stuffed it vertically into the planet Earth numerous times. One time about 10 centimetres of ice. It still rocks. Styrola, I don't know what the Astro Challenger is, but it sounds like you absolutely love it. And that's the main thing, isn't it? It's enjoying the models which you've got and having a look at what could be in the hangar in the future. That's one of the cool things about this hobby. We are very, very much spoiled for choice. Oh, Stefan, you're working on the F3A Skylark. F3A, I've got mine's underneath my desk. I really must change the motor in it because it was far too small and utterly crap. There's no other words for it. Completely screwed up on my part. Need to get that one out and get that one flying because it did look the business. And once we got it in the sky, because we had didn't have enough guts in it to take off from the ground, but once we, I think it was Austin or Andrew who hand launched it for me, we got it in the sky and it flew really, really well. So unbelievably good value for money for, what was it, 40 quid and a really well polished kit. Did like that one. Probably need to do a separate episode on that one just to stress how good that model was for the money, because remember we had that other dog poo model turn up here and that was absolute rubbish. Anyway, moving on. Vince says my Bosch glue gun is 4 years old. Happy days. Completely shut. Happy days. Right, Quadro FPV, good morning as well. Nice to see so many new faces here for the live build session, which I'm not doing any building. I'm stood here eating and drinking coffee. Right. Let's get back to this. And I'm going to repeat myself. Those of you which have been on from the beginning, I'm sure you appreciate. Some people have just been joined in here a little bit later. If you're wondering what model we are working on, it is a Mini 800. It turned up here ages ago, and the missus nicked the box, and she stuck it in a carrier bag, and that was kind of the end of it. And we're here trying to put it back together again, because I have no idea. Well, it came with Chinese instructions, and according to Vince in the live chat, it was 31 quid. It's moulded EPP, so it does look pretty good. It might be resilient enough for Matt to fly it. It does look kind of cute, if I'm honest. We do have space in the fuselage for one of the smaller flight controllers, or you could mount one up on the 90 degrees on the side and side mount it. I won't be doing that with mine. Well, I've got no intention yet of doing that with mine. But that said, it is cute, and that's what we're building at the desk, because I felt kind of bad because it's been sat out there in the hallway for at least a month. And now that I'm here looking at it, it does look pretty cool, if I'm honest. I'm sure you would agree as well. It does look pretty cool. I like moulded EPP models. In fact, it's insane that you could spend just, and I mean this, just £31 on a moulded EPP model. That's insane. I still remember the reaction when the S800, remember the Reptile, well, I'm sure most of you have owned one, Reptile S800, which I don't actually have in here at the moment. When that model came out, I remember the reaction from one of the model creators out there. Oh my God, it's fake. It can't be molded EPP, not for that price, etc., etc. They were mortified that somebody would be able to do that. And the reality was, yes, it bloody well was molded EPP, and it turned out to be one of the most bluntest models. And I mean this in the nicest of ways. It's probably one of the best compliments you could give for a model, is that it's just the dumbest of models ever. You can wrap it round a tree because it is molded EPP, and heck, if you do finally break something on it, you just hot glue it back together again, and happy days. So yeah, molded EPP, very, very good, especially in those Reptile S800s, because they are just so tough. And now we are going to struggle with putting that in and getting that in that rear surface. So what am I thinking is that I need to put these parts together, and you will see that I have been in here with servos, and I literally just spent 2 minutes before we went live just to see if I could get these things together and working. Now that is going, it's a bit late now because I've already been and glued it in. So I've got to somehow get that push rod up there, and I've got to connect these two halves together with that in. Right, I've just been and worked out the approach. Let me share this with you. Let me just share the challenge, okay? The challenge is that we have the push rod in one half of the model and we have the servo in the other half of the model. That's the challenge. And of course, have you worked out that when we put these two halves together, is that you're not going to be able to get down there and put the push rod itself is in the wrong place. We can't use one in the screwing clevises because it's too late. Matt's already been glued it in, so we can't change the angle of the tube. And yeah, we just can't get in there. So what are we going to do? What we're going to do is turn the push rod around. So we have the Z bend at that end, like so. So you'll now see that we've got the Z bend in there. And you may be wondering, well, Matt, how are you going to get that in there? Because you've already got, and that's the thing. All we're going to do is going to unscrew the, what should we call it, screw and the control horn. Then we'll fit the Z bend into the control horn. And then we'll put an adjuster back here on the elevator surface. And that's how we get around that problem. I was a little bit worried. I was a little bit stumped then. So, yeah, makes sense to me. That's the plan which we're going for. So, before I go and commit to any glue, I'm just going to make sure that that servo works. Because I am sure I'm not the first person, and I know that I won't be the last person, who glues a servo into a model and then finds out the servo's a knackered one. So, it has happened to all of us. That looks good to me. And we'll center it. By the way, if you're wondering what tool I'm using, that's a servo tester. And you've got 3 modes on it. You've got centered mode, so that's supposed to be centered now on that servo. You've got, it will also sweep, so you'll see it's going all the way around. And then you've got manual mode, and you're able to manually push it out to each extreme. And normally what I use with mine is just click the button on the corner, it centers it, and then I know that whether I've got that control horn, that servo control horn in the right place or not, which is not in this case. But that's fine because we were going to undo that in a moment. So let's get that unplugged and out the way, and let's get that plugged back into the hot glue gun. Right, those of you which are having a chit chat in the live chat on the right hand side of the screen, I will get back to you in a moment, but I'm sure you'll appreciate that I do want to try and get this one half made for today, so that we stand a chance for getting it out and flying it tomorrow. In this instance, my glue or weapon of choice for glue is hot glue. And the reason why I'm using hot glue is because it's quick and it works really well. But some of you may have noticed a short while ago, and when we go to glue this fuselage together, is that I'm actually going to use some Yoo-Hoo Pour glue. Sorry, I'll put it on this hot glue. Top up there. I'm going to be using Yoo-Hoo Pour because it is a contact adhesive and it will give me a lot more fiddling time to get these two parts put together compared to hot glue, because once hot glue goes down it's trying to set immediately, and that's not what I want in this circumstance. I want some play time with it, and I tell you what, I'm just going to go on. I did see there was a little wooden tail skid. I'm not entirely sure how much help that will give us, but it's there, so I'll tell you what, just go and get that glued in there now. There we go, and we'll quickly pop that in there. And remember, hot glue and EPO foam and also EPP foam, which this is got to be EPP foam, is that it works extremely well. One thing you do want to go careful with, especially over these molded models, is that you want to make sure it's not absolutely rinsed in mold release. If it feels extremely slippy and it's a little bit oily, the manufacturer has basically been and put far too much mold release into their molds, and that will give you an issue with glue. That's how you get models to come apart, or unless it's a Bixler and they probably didn't put any glue in it in the first place. Maybe they stuck it together with yogurt. Nobody knows. Right, moving on. We want to get those two halves stuck together, and then we're going to have a nose at the wings as well. I am going to pause for a moment, A, for a quick slip of coffee, and B, to have a quick look at your chat as well. Jack says, I built a servo tester with an Arduino Pro. Happy days. Center the servos in the RX makes a difference sometimes. Yeah, Stefan, this is literally no receiver. You could obviously use your receiver and make sure your receiver transmitter is set up to to be centered as well. You could go that route, but something like that, it's only that little servo tester is a couple of dollars, if that, and it works so well. I can just literally just use it here at the workbench, and it's completely invaluable. Anyway, moving on. I'm a little bit worried that I won't have enough glue to put these two parts together, so I'm just going to have a quick nose around this workbench to see if I've left any Yoo-Hoo Pour floating around, because if I can find another tube of it, because we did have another tube of it here for another build Saturday a short while ago, haven't got to it yet, don't kill me for it. That's the tiny little flight controller. That's a 20 by 20 flight controller. That's what I was talking about a few moments ago, is that while fitting a full-size flight controller, F4 or even F7 flight controller in there might be a bit excessive, but you could turn the orientation around in iNav or RG Plane, for example, to mount it up there on the side. Something like that, to keep things simpler, would fit, if I put that around really badly, come on, put that in there like that, something like that would fit inside of the model very easily. The only complication which you would have is the wire for the, you've got the arrow pointing forwards. You would put that in there and then cut a little hole out on the side so you could put the USB lead in for the side as and when you would need some updates. So yeah, a little 20 by 20 flight controller in there would work an absolute treat. So yeah, if you haven't seen those yet, there's a couple of different types kicking around. I can't remember which one I've got there. I'm sure it will just be a F4 of some form. Yes. Yeah, F405. So that's a 405 which I've got on there, and I need to put that back in there. So I got all those bits together so I can do that project. Anyway, still not been able to find that glue, which is a little bit frustrating. I'm going to have to put my back to you. See, I knew I had more glue. Let's go and get this put together. Right, those of you which have not ever used Yoo-Hoo Pour before, Yoo-Hoo Pour is, number one, is an inexpensive glue. And what I mean by inexpensive, I mean a couple of quid. The last time I bought some, I think I bought a dozen of them off eBay. The more you buy, generally, as anything in life, the cheaper it gets. That was definitely the case with Yoo-Hoo Pour. Remember, I bought literally a dozen of them, and I'm down to my last 2 tubes. I have got through loads and loads and loads of it. It is meant to be, I say it meant to be because I genuinely normally run out of patience quite quickly, is that it's meant to be a contact adhesive. So what we mean by that is that you put glue, ideally on both surfaces, spread it around, make those 2 surfaces up if you can, okay, and then you just take them apart and then leave them for, this is the point, just want to stress, this is where you're supposed to leave them for 15 minutes so that the surfaces get really, really tacky. You know when you've hit that level because it will get very, very sticky, and then you make the 2 parts together. And the thing which you've got to go careful with, and it's why it doesn't always suit all situations, is because you may have a complex structure which you're gluing together, and it's a contact adhesive. So if you try and put a complex structure together with Yoo-Hoo Pour, it will stick straight away. When it contacts the other side of it, is that it will stick, and that's not good for more complicated models. Imagine you've got a part like that which needs to go together. You would get there and you would get stuck because it would stick to itself. It's a really good glue. However, flat surfaces like what we've got here is absolutely brilliant. So those more observant out there may have noticed that we've got some little nodules here on the fuselage, and those will pose an issue if we get those stuck in with the Yoo-Hoo Pour, because we'll just have to force them into their place. Anything more than that, then the little locating lugs, we would probably be using a different glue. And the other reason why we're not using a hot glue is because with Yoo-Hoo Pour, we get loads and loads of playtime, literally 15 minutes plus of playtime. In fact, you're supposed to spread it out, make the 2 surfaces up, and then go on and then wait 15 minutes after that. But as you're about to find out, I probably won't do that because I have the attention span of a gnat. It's probably the polite version. And we're going to get that up in and around there. And it doesn't absolutely reek. Some glues, which like E6000 or Goop glue, for example, they can absolutely stink. Whereas this stuff is not too bad on the nose and probably not completely toxic and wants to kill you. So anyway, we got those two halves together. So what I'm now going to do is just present these two halves up together, like so. Make sure that they're in the right place. Just making sure everything looks good, which it does. Fantastic. And then I'm going to break those two parts apart. Okay? May sound counterintuitive, but now what we're going to do is just going to wait now for that contact adhesive to go off. Nothing complicated at all needed to put it together. I've just seen there's a dry spot all the way along there. There we go. And all I'm using is an old propeller blade as a spreader, and well, it was probably an old one, as a spreader, just to make sure all the parts go together. However, once I've got this fuselage together with the tail section, I will just be using hot glue for that. The other benefit to U-Hu-Por over hot glue, for example, is weight. This stuff isn't, because you're using so much less of it compared to hot glue, is the weight, especially in the tail of a model, the place where you normally don't want any weight, is that this stuff is an awful lot lighter on there. And plus you don't burn your fingers with it either. You'll see I've just played with the glue there and it's been fine. So U-Hu-Por, definitely a thumbs up from that. The only negative, there's two negatives which you need to know about U-Hu-Por, is the first one is that when if it sees sunlight, when it's on your model, it will leave yellow lines behind. Actually, there's an old project there. Can you see the yellow lines on there? That's where I've literally smeared it with my hand over there. And yes, that was me trying to make a Nanodrac quite some time ago. And I've just not got around to finishing it. But it's sat in the window to remind me that I need to get around to it someday. So getting back to the point, U-Hu-Por, really cheap, works really well. It also works as, if you don't have hot glue on the flight line, because it's a contact adhesive, it will work as an emergency glue if you're willing to wait 15 minutes or so, because it is a contact adhesive. So number one, it will turn your models piss yellow. There's no other, it goes literally that yellow. It's not the nicest of colours. That said, the other issue is that if you've got a complex part which you're trying to glue together, it will get stuck when you put it together. If you do wait for the glue to go off as a contact adhesive. It best suits flat surfaces together, like a fuselage. However, if you're in a bind, what you can do is just put some glue, put the glue in things, and then just stick it together. It will go off eventually. It just won't be a good glue on the flight line for an emergency fix. If you're going to be leaving the model overnight, then if you've got a complex part, you can just wet it up with that stuff, stick it together, put some tape around it, jobs are good in, and then just come back to it tomorrow and it will be set. Okay, I have done that an awful lot because the glue is relatively cheap in the scheme of things, and also, as I mentioned a few moments ago, it is light. So there you go. I am going to pause for a moment to come and look at your chat on there. Jack says Foam Tack and Foam Cure are absolutely useless. Jack, I couldn't agree with you anymore. I bought a tube of Foam Tack glue to put the FX61, the big Zeta Phantom flying wing. Absolutely awful. It wouldn't hold a cake together. Rubbish stuff. Absolutely rubbish. Not very impressed with Foam Tack. That again, it was recommended to me that we use it for that model specifically. The glue which I had turned up here, rubbish, absolute rubbish. So yeah, there's lots and lots of different glues out there, and you'll notice that I'm just going to be a little bit quiet here because I'm trying to make sure that we've got that set up and stuck together, which we have. Just going along now, making sure that the glue is sticking together, and obviously I spent. Oh, this is 50-50. I didn't put it... Oh, that is pretty dodgy. That's how good that glue is. The reason why I've just gone in, because I didn't put those two halves together, that is the negative with U-Hu-Por, is that if I'd left that any longer, that I would have not got that apart. In fact, the foam would have ripped before the glue. So yeah, very, very curious. We're just tacking that together now. I paused and went quiet. I should have gone quieter and focused on the job at hand because I was about to knacker that model. And it's not the straightest of glue which I've done on there. But is it going to impede it in the air? Absolutely not. Right, let's get those pins out of there, like so. Because of the interest in time, I am just going to quickly tack that rear spar in there with a little dab of hot glue. Put that over the top and here in the middle as well. So what I'm doing there is just, the bulk of that spar is held in my Yoo-Hoo paw. However, I'm trying to rush the build of this one, so I've just put a little tack of hot glue on the top just to use it instead of having. So I've got the pins out, so I can go on and use this and carry on with the build. Is that I can expedite things much more easily by just tacking it on there with some hot glue, because it's like little fingers which are holding it together. What else am I going to do? They've been included. Some absolute monster. Am I going to use? Yes, I am going to use them. I am. They've included some absolute monster little tools. What are the little clamps called? Somebody will correct me in the live chat. What's the where you put your push rod in? It goes onto your control horn, and then the little screw up doodads, so that you grab that. Come on, you. I'll show them on the screen in a moment. These ones are actually quite big, almost excessively big, but they're here, so I'm going to use them. I've got smaller ones in there. Those things. I'll put it up on the camera. Can you see? There, those ones. I've forgotten what the correct name of those are, but those are absolutely fantastic because they're adjustable. They're just, if you think about it, that screw, that is not brass. It would be 100% Chinesium. And a little nut on the top is quite a lot of weight in the scheme of things for a smaller model. I do have other ones here, but these ones came in the kit, so I'm going to use them. So yeah, we'll use them. I'm just going to make sure it's all going to go all the way in, which it does. We need that up underneath. Poke that in there. Now, because I've had an issue over the last couple of models, Bixler, I am just going to put a little dab of hot glue in there to hold that control horn in there, because, like I said, I have had an issue or two recently with these control horns coming out, which is not, and it has not been, a good experience. So we're going to poke that on there and make sure that's done up nice and tight. Brilliant. Like so. I'm going to clip off the excess. Right, those of you which have been and joined us a little bit later on, howdy, my name's Matt, welcome aboard. We are here at the workbench. We are building a Mini 800. Didn't know it was a Mini 800. Apparently it's 31 quid over on Banggood. I'll put a link to it in the video description after we've been live. A big hat tip for Vince to spot on which model it was. And yeah, it's been here in a carrier bag, hanging up by the back door for a month, probably more. Finally felt a bit guilty about not going out and flying it or getting it built. So that's what we're doing today. Today is a build day. It's very apt weather here in the UK for building models, because while I've been out with the dog this morning and done our 10k, is now, I can hear the rain out there. It's not very nice here, at least in Bristolia here in the United Kingdom at the moment. And again, just to stress, this is a build Saturday. We host these build sessions every Saturday. We look at some models. Last week we looked at the Eagle Tree Vector. Didn't intend for us to be doing that one. It was just literally Andy went on and bought two. I think he now even owns 4 of them. And that's what we're doing. And today we're looking at this little Mini 800 model. It's kind of cute, if I'm honest. Oh, I am going to stick a little bit of thread lock on that. There we go. Let me make sure. Yeah, that's the right way around. Yes, that's the right way around. And yeah, purposes of Build Saturday is really just for us as RC pilots to join in. You'll notice the live chat on the right hand side of the screen. You'll see there's quite a lot of chat going on there at the moment. I can see you've been chatting amongst yourselves. Fantastic. It's just for us to chill out, have a look at some new foam. Maybe you're working on a model. In fact, if you are working on your own model, do me a favour. What are you working on right now? Let me know. Let everybody else know who's on the live session what you're working on, because I'm curious. I'm here working on this Mini 800, which is quite a peculiar little thing. I think it's going to do quite well, but as we know, we always hold off final judgment until we get it out. But let me know what you're doing. Are you half asleep in bed? I'm going to be gone in 2 minutes because you're in New Zealand or Australia, for example. Or actually, Matt, I'm in the car. I'm off to the flying site. I'm going to see you later. Or are you working? What? Are you repairing? Are you building? Or are you shopping for models? What are you up to this morning? Let me know in the live chat on the right-hand side of the screen. Let's have a quick look. Vince says, even the professionals are struggling today, just watching the girls get blown over the place. Yeah, they're cheating. They've got Evolution on their side. And if they're struggling, yeah, not good. Sparkle says, I've had glue control horns come out of place. I've glued them in because he's had them come out as well. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, Blackbird, you've actually raised a good point on there. You will notice that I didn't mention CA glue for foam. I'm not a big fan of CA glue, so the super glue. And the reason why I don't like super glue is because it's a brittle glue. The same for most epoxy. I say most epoxies because there are some flexible epoxies. Most epoxies are very hard glues, and we are flying model aeroplanes which sometimes make love to the ground, trees and other things. I've just noticed a canopy down there. Move that out of the way before I stand on it. And brittle glues are not the best idea, in short. That's why I like Yoo-Hoo Pour, for example, like hot glue, or even E6000 or Goot glue, because there is some flex in that glue as well, which does mean that you stand a better chance of your model staying in one piece if it does hit the ground or another object in the sky or around it. Let's have a quick look. RC's Fires just fitted the skip place. Oh, you've bought yourself a binary. Happy days. Ohio's is perfect today. Oh, Ohio, absolutely fantastic. But it's amazing this time of year as well. Sparkle says, I want a binary. We'll be buying later this year. What did I miss? A comment from Phil somewhere in there. Veggie bacon butty. Wow, that is just wrong on so many levels. I couldn't agree with you anymore. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, there's a live chat going on the right hand side of the screen. If you can't see it, underneath this video, click on live chat, join in. If you're watching the recorded version, same thing, underneath this video, click on live chat, and you'll see the chat which is going on here as well. Jack says, I have the binary, it's absolutely amazing. Julian says, asking Greggs if they do a bacon. If you don't know what Greggs is, it's a chain of stores here in the UK, which many large people go into, put it that way. And I know that's for a fact because I sit there and watch a lot of people going into a Greggs every single morning. Anyway, we digress. Let's go and get this thing stuck up with hot glue. I'm going to be using hot glue for the tail section. Just because it's quicker, I can just hold it into place and it will set when I've got it in the right place. Now, I am pausing for a moment, and yes, was it Julian which said I was brave for using Yoo-Hoo Pour on camera? I almost got caught out there, didn't I? So I'm just holding that in place, just waiting for that to set and to go off. And I'm sure that will go in just a moment. I think I've got that mostly straight. Where's our elevator fin? Brilliant. Same for that. I'm just going to use hot glue. Nice big splurge. Make sure I'm getting around the edges as well. Like so. Let me get that stuck in. So yeah, the Mini 800, which is this model, kind of like it so far. It's no issues at all. No, we've had. Oh, Matt, you managed to put that on the wrong way round. That's well done, Matt. Spot the slight mistake. Let me know on a postcard. You can email directly me at whoopsie@uranus.com, as I have made a slight mistake with that. Thank goodness that Fredlock glue hasn't gone off just yet, because otherwise that would have been Rather embarrassing. But we'll get that in there and we'll do it back up again. In fact, I probably should put a little bit more thread lock on there. You may be wondering, Matt, what are you doing? What is this stuff which you're using? And again, I'm sure many of you already know what it is, but some of you may not. This is thread lock. Now, thread lock comes in two different types. You've got blue, which is the stuff you want, I hasten to add, and there is red thread lock. And the thing is with red thread lock is that it is permanent. And it really does not ever want... You put red thread lock on stuff which you never, ever, ever, ever want to come undone. Whereas blue is that it's a little bit more flexible and you can get it undone at a later date. That's the difference between the two. And in short, it's a glue for threads. Hence why it's called thread lock. And it stops things such as that little nut there, and I've got hot glue snot all over me, from coming undone. And because that would be pretty detrimental. And again, once I've got this model trimmed in, I'll come back, work out where the marking on there is. Well, I'll probably do it as part of the setup and put a little bit of thread lock on that screw in the back of there, excuse me, to make sure that never comes undone. Because, yeah, losing the elevator surface on a model, some might say, is quite detrimental to its flying characteristics. Anyway, moving on, we got the fuselage built. I have no idea how we're doing for time. I'm enjoying myself. I hope you're enjoying yourself. If you're enjoying this live session, do me a favour, hit the thumbs up if you haven't done already. Those of you which, like I was saying, have joined us a little bit later on, this is and I'm just squeezing that fuselage back together because I think it's trying to pull apart in a few places. It is a Mini 800. It's a tiny little thing, and we are making really good progress here this morning. Genuinely impressed how well this one's going together, considering how much I've been chatting. Let's be honest, right? If I was here at the workbench, just working away, I'm sure it'd be the same for you, is that we would have probably already built this by now, but I keep stopping to have a chat to you. No apologies for that. Yeah, in reality, we would probably have got this thing already half built. It does fill quite nicely. Quite nice. Yeah, look at that. Really nice moulding on it. I still think back. What was that model which we had a short while ago? It was a twin-engine motorbike, which had those stupid grey motor mounts, and there was no battery bay to it, and you had to cut out the battery bay to put in the front of it. Those of you which might remember, I think it was last week or the week before, I just said that I've just binned it because it was so bad. I think it might have been the week before that. It was just so bad. Can't remember which model that was. Absolutely terrible piece of whatever. This one, cheaper, and look, well built. Really like it. Anyway, moving on. Where's our bag of little goodies? Which I've left here on the desk somewhere. Oh, we have a little push rod in there. So I assume that's where that rod is supposed to go. Some might say that's not the best route possible, but I tell you what, I'm just going to fill that up with hot glue. Spin it round like so. I think that will work best. Ow. Hot glue is, funny enough, hot. There we go. I'm just going to clean that nozzle up as well with a piece of paper. Like so, clean that up. Make sure I don't get that stuck in the middle, which it is. There we go. I'm going to get that tucked up in there, like so. And obviously I've got that equal heights on both sides. Not! Right. Put that in there. Yeah, that's close enough. It does come with 2 elastic bands. It did come with... Oh! We're a bit late now, isn't it? I've just this second worked out what I was supposed to have been and done, and it's far too late. Let me show you my screw up. in this little bag here, because remember those instructions which we had were in perfect English. Those of you which were here from the beginning, you'll know what we're talking about. Is that I think what you were supposed to have done is that little loop there, that was supposed to be stuck in there like so. That makes sense, doesn't it? Right? Kind of get it. And then that tube, which I've just hot glued in there for all eternity, is that I think the idea was that you were supposed to put that down and then put the tube. So we'll take that out of the way. We were supposed to then put that down, put the tube through, and then that would have helped lock that rear section in, and that's all we would have needed. And then the elastic band would have gone round the back just to hold the tube in. Now what I have been and done is completely screw it up, because I have hot glued that post in there. That's not, I tell you what, I think that's going to come out. I don't know. Should we do it? I think we'll do it. Yeah, let's do it. It's still hot, or still at least warm. I might have just about saved. Yeah, that's coming out. I'm going to dig that out. Right. So what you're supposed to have done was use that thing in the middle, and then those two little elastic bands in the middle. I have been really lucky with that. And those two little elastic bands, instead of holding the wing down, what you're doing is holding it down off that little anchor point. Shows sometimes, even a drawing would have helped with that, would it have not? And we didn't get one of those in the kit, which is a bit of a shame. But I tell you what, at least I reckon I've made those holes a little bit stronger by doing that. And we're going to dig that out in there. And there's nothing like doing this stuff live, is it? Because you can't edit out your screw-ups, can you? Hey ho, where's me wooden bit? Let's go and get that in there. We'll glue that in. Use a light amount of hot glue. Jam that in there. Brilliant. Oh, some might say that was too much. Hot. Right, just going to hold that in place somehow. I'm going to try and keep the edges clean as well. There we go. Just going to hold that in place. And I'm glad I put that spar in earlier, because that Yoo-Hoo paw would have been quite far into the process of going off. And just like before, I'm just tacking it in with some hot glue just to make sure it doesn't move around. Another little tip for you is these little hot glue guns. I'll stick up on the top camera. If you don't own one of these just yet, go and get one. They're $2.99 or thereabouts on Banggood. Absolutely little brilliant ones. They say they only run on 3S, but that's 4S. And I can tell you, that hot glue gun and that hot glue gets really, really hot, to the point that you do need to be a little bit careful with it, with your models, because it will melt the foam. It gets that hot, and it really will burn your fingers if you're not careful. So anyway, point being, that's in there. Have I and did I just about save that? So I think the idea was that we then push that down in there. I'm trying to spot the hole. Oh, we got a hole. There we go. Then that goes through there somehow. Right, I'm trying not to be an ape. I really am trying not to be an ape, and just ram it in there. Because let's face it, that's what most of us would probably do. Right, that is a bit of a faff. Oh, we're through. Ah, look, there we go. Ah, we probably won't need an elastic band to hold that in there now. Yeah, that's the idea, is that wing that is now held on using that little piece of plywood and that in there. And the elastic bands, where I kind of got myself mistaken, I thought we were going to have to use the elastic bands up and over the wings to hold it on, but I'm pretty sure the elastic band is just meant to do that on the back of the model. Not seen that before, quite like it, but it all does really, really depend down on the strength in that is all down to that glue joint on the wooden spike which you've got up in here, and whether that stays in place or not. So actually I'm kind of glad that I did use hot glue for that, because I don't think that's going to come out any time soon. So let's move those to one side. Right, let me just reiterate, those of you which have been enjoying this a little bit later, Hi, I'm Matt, welcome aboard. Today is a live build session. I'm not entirely sure how long we've been live for. We've gone over time by 15 minutes, I do apologise. What I need to do from here is I've got 2 servos out already and ready. Need to chuck 2 servos in there, chuck a receiver. We need to glue on the motor mount which goes on the top. We didn't see that, and I think I've lost a piece for this. For that top section up there. It wasn't in the bag, so it's gone AWOL somewhere. So I'll get a bit of Depron from somewhere here and make a little piece to go in on the top. But it's kind of cute because we can get the wires to fit in down there and up underneath the model itself. One little note for this top section is that this little motor mount is that I did have to trim a little piece out so it sat in there really nicely. I'm not going to glue the motor mount in. Now, that's one thing which I really did want to share with you, is because the thing is that if you think about it, is that this is always going to be pushing forward. So it's not going to like pull the motor out. It's not like it's a tractor model where we're pulling the model along. Is that with this, we're always pushing it. So that means that we could take the motor out, we could service the motor if we want to, or we could change the motor. So I was personally thinking of not going too mental with. It sounds daft. I know this channel's called Rag the Nuts Off, but I was half thinking of not going too nuts with the motor. And the reason I was thinking why not going too nuts with the motor is because, and I hate to say this, but I was thinking maybe later on we might want to stick a flight controller in it and see how well it does. Alright, so that's what I was half thinking in my head. That said, by not gluing that motor mount in, it gives me the option for putting something mental in there, maybe a 2206 or 2205, 2300 kV or higher kV, and making it absolutely mental to really razz it around the sky. That would be good fun. Or I could take that out and maybe swap it. I've got down in my motors box, I think, what were they? They were Raystar 2212, 1200 or 1500 kV motors, which we are limited on prop space, so we can only fit a 6-inch prop on the back. A 1500 kV motor with a 6x4 prop is going to pull, what, 4 amps, if that? 4 amps in a tiny little airframe. I nav'd up to the 9s. Could be quite interesting. I'm sure that would have perked some of your attention. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. So with that said, I am just going to quickly glue this bit together and then we'll wrap up and move on. So actually, can I make a point? We were chatting about UHU-Port earlier, and a negative to using UHU-Port would be, can you see we've got that little key section just there, and we've got these 2 little sections there, is that if we were using UHU-Port, that may not stick together very well once the UHU-Port has really gone off, okay? But what you could do, if you've only got UHU-Port, is wet up the surfaces, put them together, stick a bit of tape round, that would do it, because when you come back to it in the morning, it would be set, okay? However, I've got hot glue on the hand, so that's exactly what I'm going to use, is just go and get that up in and around the surfaces. Make sure we're getting the holes in there as well, because I think, well, I've got it on hand, so that's what we'll be using. And we'll get that all mooshed up in there, get that stuck in, and then just hold it together nice and tightly and catch any spill out as it comes out while it's wet. Brilliant. I'm also, and I can't stress this enough, you've seen me use these a couple of times this morning. Dress pins. You can buy them in reels of £1, and you get, I don't know, 50 of them in a reel. Excuse me. Is that now I know, because I've been and put those pins in there, that is going to hold that part together exactly on the seam along the top. And that, I can see it just pouring out a little bit now. I'm just going to... Actually, that's one of the benefits of having a hot glue gun, because I was able to put the nozzle into the foam and melt the foam to then go on and squeeze some glue in it. So I'm just holding that together and just waiting for that hot glue to go off and set. So I can also see we've got a slight issue in there as well. I'm just plunging the hot glue gun into the foam. You wouldn't have heard it come up on the microphone, but I can hear it bubbling here, which is not normally a good noise. And it's been in there, melted the foam, We'll make sure that fits, which it does. Brilliant. And that's it. I'm just going to hold it in my hand while it goes off. Right, let's go and swap the cameras back over. There we go. Right. Sparkle says, Matt, do you have a world record for how long it takes you to build something? To be honest, Sparkles, I think it was the Mini Talon which took me the longest time to build it. I had it turn up here and I kept putting it off and putting it off. So that one took the longest. I think that took one of the longest times for me to build a model. The Firefly probably isn't that far off it. It's kicking around there. And I've got a massive stash of models over there, which I really... This is one of the main points of Build Saturdays. We can sit here at the workbench and we can get a model, ideally, over the line so that tomorrow we can get out and go and get it flown. We'll see what it flies like. So, yeah, that one, the Mini Talon, the longest build overall, like total time, was the XUAV Clouds. That had about 14 to maybe 16 hours of build time in that, because we had some issues where the boxing on it was so bad and we had damage on the top, which I was trying to get out. Also laminating a 1.8 meter wingspan model, it takes an awful lot of time. There was 2 of us working on it. It's a bit of an issue. With vintage cider boy. Yes, I used to drink cider quite a lot. Don't drink now. Sorry. I need a clear head for most of the stuff which I do. Yeah, I'm getting some abuse on the live chat, by the way. It's fun. We're all grown adults up here as well. Not raining in the Midlands. Alan, happy days. Also, a couple of new faces which we've seen here this morning. Right, that has been dried off or cooled down. I'm going to put that to one side. I'm going to unplug that now. It is time for us to wrap up. I'm going to carry on and get this little Mini 800 model built. First impressions, 31 quid by the looks of it. Vince mentioned the price of it earlier. I don't think that's that bad. It's molded EPP, so it's going to be pretty tough. We do have some nice little bits of, I don't know whether you noticed this earlier, we do have some a little bit of dihedral in the wingtip, so it should help it try and fly straight, especially because it is a smaller model, and I know tomorrow for sure it's going to be a windier day than normal. So if it copes with the wind tomorrow, I am genuinely going to be surprised. We spoke about glues here today, we spoke about options as far as motors went, and yeah, I'm quite impressed. I wish I got this model out of that carrier bag because it was hung up on that hook for at least a month, and I'm glad that I've got out there. I've got a few pieces left to do it, and not a lot left. I could put some servos in the wing, some control horns. It's not hard, it's not rocket science, and I'll set it up for FPV. I think it's going to do all right. We're going to fit, well, the battery bay isn't the biggest battery bay on the planet. That's, well, look at the size of the model. It's only an 80 centimetre wing, so the battery bay was never going to be that big if we're honest, but we'll be looking there. We'll get a 1300 3S in there, no problems. And we're probably, those of you which wanted to use this for something a little bit more, should we say, range orientated, you would get 18650s in there without an issue. So, yeah, very, very curious. Made 1 or 2 mistakes during the build, but then we make mistakes on the build. This is the nice thing about this live session. It's just to make the point that we do make screw ups from time to time, and hey, it's the way it is. Anyway, it is time for me to wrap up. Those of you which did join me a little bit later, I just want to quickly reiterate what we covered at the very beginning, just to get you up to speed. Number 1 is the Fortini. We had some issues around the maiden. I did get 1 good flight out of it, but there are a couple of things which I fed back to Ewan. Hopefully we'll see some updates on that next week with any luck. But basically I'm not prepared to put what happened onto video for everybody to see. I don't think that's fair with a prototype model. So I'm not going to do that. I fed back the feedback. That was 2 weeks ago or so now. So watch this space in the Fortini. It does have lots of potential. That 1 flight which I did get out of it, it was absolutely bonkers. But it was the challenge to get to that flight and beyond. The Firefly, those of you which remember last week, I've not got into building it. It's still a work in progress. The Bixler which we had here is pretty much had it. You will see that in a different version very shortly. The Radjet, if you didn't see that video, there's a new version of the Radjet. Well, they've put pink stickers on it. There's a video which I published 2 days ago. I'm personally waiting for the kit version to come out. Once we get a kit version, we're going to stick a rocket up its rear and send it into orbit. That's the plan with that. Oh, new series on its way out. Literally after I've done today's session, I'm going to, this live session, going to grab myself a fresh cup of coffee and get over to the desk and get that started edited. We've got a 5, possibly a 6-part series coming out on the Eagle Tree Vector. It won't be to the degree of the iNav series because there isn't that much to get covered. Okay, after what we did here at the desk for last week's session, it enabled me to work out the exact process, which is five steps and a 6th bonus step for us to get us to the flight line. They'll be short, they'll be concise, so look out for a new series on the Eagle Tree Vector coming out in the next couple of days. And shameless plug, we will have, and I really should go and stick that on the side if those stickers do come off, we will have some Rag the Nuts Off merchandise. That sticker's not coming off. Always the way. We will have some Rag the Nuts Off merchandise coming to us over the next week or two. I will keep you updated. Now, I can't stress this enough. If you want to keep up to date with the things which are going on here, the community tab here on YouTube is the place to find those updates. There is an update which I'm going to post later today, which I know is you're going to go, oh, yeah, okay. Look out for that one later today. If you don't know where that is, underneath this video, click on Rag the Nuts Off. One of the tabs is called Community, and just keep an eye on that tab. Or, of course, underneath this video, if you press the bell icon next to subscribe and then choose all, YouTube will let you know on your news feed what that update is, and of course any other updates which come out as well. Right. Stephen, thank you for joining us here this morning. Apologies, we're going to be legging it in just a moment. Gordy, Alan, so many new faces here this morning. If you are new here, any questions or comments about anything which we've been covered here today, please just, because we're wrapping up in a moment, just ask in the comments section underneath this video. If I've missed your live chat going on the right hand side of the screen, I do apologise. As you know, I've been here at the workbench trying to get a model over the line so we can take it out tomorrow and go and get it flown. There is a Facebook group which goes along with this channel. There'll be a link to that in the video description underneath as well. And do remember, this is a live build session which we host every single Saturday at 9 o'clock UK time. And this week we had a model literally in a carrier bag. And I can tell you I'm not short on models over here to get fixed and repaired. Last week we did something on the Eagle Tree Vector. The week before that, I can't remember, we were hacking up another model to do something quite funny with it. Yeah, these build sessions, the purpose of them is for us to join up as a group of RC enthusiasts, to have a cup of coffee, to work on a model, to have a look at a new model, to repair a model, or chat about another subject as well. And remember, those of you which already know this, I've got a 5 foot by 5 foot CNC machine, and I would really like to do something live for that on a Saturday morning at some point in the future as well. So we've also got that to look forward to as well. So with that said, thank you very much for taking the time to join me here live this morning. I really do appreciate that. If you have enjoyed today's live session, do me a favour, hit the thumbs up. And like I said a few minutes ago, questions, comments down in the comments section underneath this video. As always, from myself, Matt, thank you very much for watching. If you're out flying for this weekend, enjoy. It looks a little bit windy here in the UK, but screw it. As long as it's not wet, it's a flying day. In fact, those of you which are, maybe it's a little bit windier than normal, okay? I dare you to go out and fly in windy conditions. In fact, try and choose a wholly inappropriate model. I think it's supposed to be up to 15 miles an hour wind over at the Funny Farm tomorrow. I'm going to be chucking a little 80 centimetre model into the sky anyway. It's days like that which other pilots don't go out and fly, and it's days like that where you can have some of the best fun. The Z84 is probably one of the best windiest days models It's small, it's light, it's cheap. If I wrote it off, I wouldn't cry. You probably wouldn't cry because it only costs 25 quid, you know. Really inexpensive parts in it. And the Z... I did a video on a while ago, one of the best ever wings ever made. A model like that absolutely laps up the wind. So yeah, if you're thinking, oh, it might be a bit windy tomorrow, I encourage you to get out there, get on those sticks, and really put yourself into there, because you can fly in less than ideal wind conditions. When you do get that perfect day, you'll enjoy it an awful lot more. Anyway, on that note, for myself, Matt, thank you very much for joining me here live. I'll see you next Saturday morning. Oh, and also look out for a couple of episodes coming out this week. Remember, it is my personal goal between now and Christmas to get 3 episodes a week out. So with that said, for myself, Matt, cheerios, happy flying.